Wrong one.
Chris, you had one job, bro. One job to get us going here on the Chop Sports Daily. Welcome, everybody, to another episode. It is Sturch. It is Gooch. We are remote one more time. We promise we're getting back. It's all good. All the protocols are changing in our favor.
If you think that was the only mistake I'm going to make today, you're highly mistaken. There's definitely more on the way.
I fully expect you to absolutely just crush and dominate this show. We're doing things a little different today, folks. Chris is the official producer of this show, live producing right now. But listen, I have all faith in you. I really do. I really, really do.
Bro, there was that one week where I had to do shit by myself where I made a bunch of graphics and then I was about 10 minutes in and I was like, all right, guys, fuck these graphics. I'm not doing these anymore. Let's just have a conversation.
Yeah. Oh, man. Dina's coming in. You need your producer. Absolutely, Dina. We need you. And thank you so much.
Why aren't we just having Dina do this? Add her to the feed.
I thought about that. I thought about trying to get her into the studio, but we're not there, so she doesn't have a key. But she can go into the studio.
I think she might.
Oh, wait a minute. She has a computer at her desk. Oh,
yeah, geez, we've been dropping the ball on this.
I'm completely dropping the ball on this. So anyway, welcome everybody to the show. There's a lot of things to get into. Obviously, there's been a lot of new protocols and new things and new thats, and people are coming in. Kyle Kerms is joining us here via the chat. Steph Curry.
He's already talking shit, and he's making it out to be like I'm this big Steph Curry fanboy. Honestly, no, I'm really not. No, I don't understand how you don't like Steph Curry. And I was just saying that he was the best player in the world at the time. He's a fun guy to watch, but get off my back about the Steph Curry thing. I've never actually rooted for the Warriors in any single season. There was never a time where it was Golden State and Cleveland. And I was like, you know what? Give me Golden State. I've always really disliked Durant. I do like Steph. I do like Clay. Draymond Green, I've never been a fan of. So I'm not a big dick rider on the Warriors. Get off my back, Kyle. I just like betting them because they make me money, man.
Well, they didn't make any money last night. That's for sure. I rode the Sauce's picks last night. I rode that parlay, baby, and I sparked my account last night. So thank you to the Sauce. KyleKerms.com to get the VIP access. You got the greatest picks in the world going on over there because he took that. I took Minnesota in like that 10:45 start for bowl game. I took that one. I also took what else I take? I took something else. Anyway, I'm up 8 units. We'll say 8 units, and nobody needs to know my units, but I'm up 8 units on the Sauce's picks.
I actually took a day off. I took a day off. I don't know if I told you guys yesterday, but I had a bad weekend. I had some bad beats in fantasy. I had bad beats betting. And then yesterday I missed the early part of the ticket. So I wasn't going to chase the ticket. When the first ones hit, I get like, oh, I'm so discouraged. I'm like, well, 60%, if you take those two out, I'm not trying to go 50-50, but Kyle had a good day. Obviously, the day that I decide to sit this one out, Kyle runs away with it. And even the Toast had a good day with college basketball. So,
oh my God, did you see that video that Toast sent us?
Maybe. Which one?
Of the moose?
Oh yeah, dude. That's honestly, I was thinking to myself, like, now maybe it's just I've seen too many episodes of Bush People. But isn't there, if like there's a moose outside your house, you're allowed to just kill it and eat dinner for the entire winter? I've seen shows where if you live in Alaska and you see a moose, like you better kill it because that might be the only food you get all year.
Well, shout out.
I don't know if that's where the Toast lives, but
Toast lives in Alaska, and he like showed us that he went outside and he sent a video to us saying like, hey, this is how you know you live in Alaska, right? And he's like showing us a moose that is walking in his backyard. But then his dog, who, by the way, is named Karen, which is hilarious. But I don't know why I found that so funny. Karen goes out there and tries to fuck with the moose. And I'm like, there's no way. Like, and then he's like, Karen. And I'm like, oh, my God, the moose is about to kill the dog. But, yeah, that was crazy. Oh, look who's here.
Yeah, I guess he listened a little bit later and heard my call out and said, yeah, you've been a ghost for a month. And now he decides to show up just 2 days after knocking me out of the fantasy football playoffs. Nice to have you here, Ben. And is this Ray? Oh, Ray Leonessa. That's the hockey guy.
That's what's our hockey guy checking in. Hockey looks to, I guess, restart soon, or am I missing something? Because I've been so out of the check.
I hope you're not asking me. Maybe Ray could chime in on the comments.
What was I thinking? Asking you about it when hockey starts up again? So that's not a thing. But anyway, we also want to start off by saying thank you to we'll call them the original Patreons. You guys came on board last night. You can now support Chop Sports on Patreon. It's a way to give back to us and help us out and just kind of, get this this ship rolling just a little bit longer and more profitable, and this is all good stuff. And we do give out, we don't have to explain it too much, but the link is in the description right now. Head on over to Patreon. What you guys can do is go to the Patreon. There's 3 tiers. One of them, literally $3 a month. That's basically general support. You're basically saying, hey guys, good luck with everything. Here's $3 a month. That's a protein shake for Ashley. When you told me, she's like, oh, Ashley's gonna join. I'm like, she better, right? So also there's different tiers, $5, $10. Shout out to the guys that put up to $10 right away. My brother came on board, your mom came on board. So the general support is great. It's been picking up right away. So we really appreciate that. And we want to make sure that we give back to you guys. So obviously there's coupon codes going out for all the merchandise. There'll be shout outs on the podcast. I know you had a good story, Gooch, about Bobby who came on.
Yeah, my buddy Bobby Earps just came on board, and I texted him this morning with his 10% off coupon code with a obligatory LOL after it, because I know he's not doing it for the 10%. But he texted me back and he was like, yeah, dude, I opened up my landscaping business, and I'll give a shout out to Endless Landscaping and out of Colonia, another Colonia based company. Where when he started his landscaping company, my parents, I believe, were one of his first, if not his first customer. And it's just a little bit of his way to pay back and say, look, I'm seeing what you're doing, keep grinding. So thank you, Bobby. And I'm just gonna say $25 a lawn, I think it was. So $5, I think that you owe us $20 a month, but
you're still no, it's 20. Why don't you sign up a couple times?
Great thing. I appreciate the support from somebody that I've known a really long time. So
yeah, so if you guys want to support Chop Sports and what we're doing every day, we're making improvements. We're back at the studio. At least Gooch is tomorrow, 100%. We have a great guest coming in tomorrow. We got a lot of things coming up. We got Lean Fridays, which is actually coinciding with the Rutgers bowl game. So all of a sudden we'll have Kyle in studio. We'll have Lean Fuckers in the background. It's going to be a jam-packed Football Friday show, as it's literally the last day of 2021. Another year comes and goes. I just can't believe, Gooch. I don't know if you've ever actually took a second to digest that we're going into our second year of operation. Like, that's
yeah, man. There's a lot of things that happen, and specifically, there's a couple things that happen this week that make me reflect. And obviously, the end of the year is always a time to reflect. I personally think New Year's is depressing. While like the day itself, I wish they would just eradicate that as a thing. Let's just treat it as another day, like it is to me. I don't really like change in the sense of it's not going to be 2021 anymore. It makes me feel old. And you know what else makes me feel old? And I'm just going to use this to segue. But bro, what a shitty thing that was. Obviously, John Madden had a great, wonderful life. He lived. If you really could sit there and paint the picture of the perfect life for a guy that loves football, John Madden lived that. So I don't want to make it about a sad thing that John Madden passed away, but it hit me. It hit me. It definitely
hit everybody. I think this is one of those, like, I know there's a lot of people out there, like, when celebrities die, you're kind of like, well, I didn't know him. Who cares? Like, oh, you're so corny. Why are you celebrating somebody you never met? John Madden's impact on all of us sports fans, specifically football fans, goes above and beyond everything. Like, John Madden was the first voice that I heard to watch football with. He's the one who taught me the game. If I didn't have my dad teaching me every step of the way, right? John Madden was like my grandpa that was like teaching me every step of the way. Like, everything I've learned in football, between players, formations, schemes, this, that,
bro. I was thinking about it today. Like, I always knew football well, and like, how to run and catch and do things like that. Like, my dad did a good job with that stuff early, but really when I became like 13 years old is when I started understanding how to read a defense and what a cover 3 was as opposed to a cover 2, and just all the different calls. And that's from the video game. And I know that that's EA Sports, but the Madden name is synonymous with football video games. Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, just when they started that game, remember there was Tecmo Bowl, right? We all remember, well, at least me and Gooch remember Tecmo Bowl. A couple guys probably a little younger won't remember it, but that was like the game, right? And then Madden came out and he said, look, this is what I want going forward. And they're like, oh, well, how about 7 players? He goes, no. I want 11 on 11. I want a real football. I want playbooks. I want this. I want that. His hand in that game is what people now make livings off of. We got Mike Mercado, who's basically the Chop Sports gamer of all, he does he plays Madden every single day. And I know that John Madden didn't have like an impact on the later games, but there's no Madden game without John Madden, right? And again, there's people that owe him like their career. Frank Caliendo, if you're a comedy fan, like Frank Caliendo doesn't exist.
I mean, I'm not a fan of Frank Caliendo.
Well,
that's the one.
Like,
I'm sure you knew that by now.
His first go was the Madden.
But yeah, I agree. Right? He's affected everybody, dude. And when you think 70 years, I say 70 years. He died at 85. He spent 50 years in football. His entire life, he was surrounded by the game. And it's crazy that they just had this special on Sunday or Saturday, Christmas Day. I'm thinking, wow. My father was like, "Oh, I didn't even know John Madden was still alive," which means that
oh my God, my dad said the same thing.
Probably been sick for a while. I'm glad that they got him out there to see. I mean, I'm sure he's known how people feel about him, but to put that out for the world to see on Christmas Day, and then just 3 days later, it was almost like he was waiting for his goodbye, and that was it. Very sad, but at the same time, it's something that you want to celebrate the life of John Madden. And what's your favorite Maddenism, dude? I got one.
Oh, well, not so much a Maddenism, but the way that he loved more than anything else in the world, Brett Favre.
Well, yeah, that was great too, because obviously me being a Packer fan, but just dude, the all Madden team, when they used to come out with, there was the NFL Pro Set or something, all action packed, I think it was called, where they had like the football players that had the pads on, but the cards actually had puffiness where the pads were. Yeah. And it was the all Madden team, and then he picked his team. It was almost more important to make the all Madden team than it was to make the all pro team, where it wasn't necessarily your stats. It was like if you got up with dirt in your helmet, that would get you on the all Madden team. Yeah. You don't see that anymore, and John Madden's a national treasure. He's going to be missed.
Larry Allen had a downfield block one time, Hall of Fame left guard for the Cowboys, and Madden's call on that was like, you have to just look it up to actually get the full context. But yeah, man, the impact this guy left. I said it last night on the Blogging the Boys Roundtable. When I was growing up, like my mom, who she would almost get mad at me when I had any other job outside of a sports related job, like, wow, you shouldn't be doing that. She would always be like, Davey, you're the next John Madden. I'm telling you, like, she would say that until she was blue in the face. And I shout out her last night, and I was like, yeah, I mean, not that I'm going to be the next John Madden because there's only one, but I guarantee you that, and I said this to the guys last night, that there's only like the reason why you and I and everybody who create content in the sports world, even Kyle Kerms, like those guys that do this content, whatever the field may be in sports, you had aspirations to be John Madden. You did at one point. You just did. And that's the impact he left on everybody. So rest in peace and rest in power to John Madden, because boy,
how about that little work done, John? That's the best
John.
From
that's
Pat Summerall in the Madden game back in the day. What's your favorite year from Madden, by the way?
I mean, there was a lot of years.
I've put it away for the last half a decade.
I know this is going to sound ridiculous because the game has advanced so much over the last, whatever, and the game is so like realistic now. But like back in Madden 96 is when it was a Sega Genesis game, right? The create a player that you had, you couldn't just, like, I know in create a player now, which is so funny that we mentioned that 2 days ago about David Culley and Davis Mills about being Madden generic players, right? When you created your player back in 96, you had to do the combine, right? You can't just set your speed to 99 and be like, oh, I'm the fastest guy in the world. You had to earn it. So I don't know if anybody remembers this, but Sega Genesis had ABC buttons, right? Right in a row.
Beat the buttons up.
You had to beat the buttons up as fast as you possibly could. The fastest I ever got was like to run the 40 was like a 6.7. It was so bad, bro. I would go as fat. Me, my boy Tommy, Jimmy LaPointe, my brother, bro. We would play this game until it melted. Here's a true story though. Here's an absolute true story. I think it was Madden 02 or Madden 01 that me and my best friend John, God rest his soul, were playing Madden in his room. And we started at like 2 p.m. on franchise mode. We said we wanted to start a franchise. We'll be on the same team, blah, blah, blah. We played that game, right? The sun set. We kept playing. It was midnight, 2 a.m, 5 a.m. We didn't stop. Now, when I tell you that his mom had to come into the room and say, guys, you got to take a break. We're like, yeah, you're right. We got to take a break. but the game starts to skip, right? And I'm like, oh no, what happened? We hit the eject button, bro. The game was so hot that it was like wavy and it melted. That's how much and long we played the John Madden game. That game is out of control, part of my history, and it will never go away, ever.
That's crazy. My nephews play video games now for 39 hours straight, and the games don't melt. They've come a long way. They've come a long way. My favorite Madden of all time was not even close, and it's Madden 64. It's the first one for Nintendo 64. They didn't actually have a year on it, and I've never lost a single time in that game. I will die on that hill. You could actually ask Bobby Erpsis, the guy that pledged for the Patreon. I'm undefeated. I've run up triple-digit leads on people. It's just I had so many glitches.
There was
impossible.
There was so many like unnecessary cheat. What about the Maddens that like the ambulance would come rushing onto the field, but then take out the rest of the players in their way, in their path, dude? And if you were Michael Vick for one of the games, it was like, come on. It's
I think those are the types of things that ruin Madden for me.
Yeah, honestly. Right. I was like, you can't catch him. You know, that's not fair. He's a human cheat code. But yeah, it's just so many memories about John Madden. And we got AJ coming in on the comments. Madden 09 was my favorite. Loved playing with the Jets and my boy Braylon Edwards. Yeah, dude. That's another thing. That's another cool thing about this game is that you can fire up Madden 2002, right? And then just see the rosters of who
was the very first player, not John Madden, to make the Madden cover. I think
Eddie George.
Yes.
Yes. It's Eddie George. Oh, dude, don't test my Madden skills. So, I do know that there's been no Cowboys on the Madden cover, and I will say this: next year, 100,000%, you cannot put anybody on that cover outside of John Madden. You just can't. There's no way. Like, just don't screw this up, EA. Don't screw this up. All right, because put John Madden on the cover.
We got one topic about a legendary ball coach, and then we move on to the search for another.
Well, these guys are pissing me off a little bit. We're going to the Jags. They're looking for a new ball coach, right? And so here's the thing: they're allowed to interview whoever they want now. There's a new window. We talked about this yesterday, in which they've already went public and saying they're interviewing Doug Peterson, former Super Bowl head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl team, right? And then I believe it was
I have the whole list. There's
Jim Caldwell.
Guys. 9 guys on the list. Yes. You ready?
Jim Caldwell. And the ones that obviously make me uneasy are the fact that they've requested to Dallas to interview both Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn.
Yes, they have. They've actually requested to interview both Bucs coordinators with Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles. I think Byron Leftwich is in my opinion, going to be the front runner for this job just because of the history. We got the Cowboys. Obviously, you just mentioned Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn. Buffalo, Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator, I believe he's a defense. And then I also heard rumblings about the Buffalo offensive coordinator is in the conversation as well, but there hasn't been like a formal request by the team. Matt Eberflus, another indie guy. I would say Eberflus. The Frank Reich coaching tree has begun, and I guess you could call that the Doug Peterson coaching tree because Doug Peterson is also up for this job. And then the other guy that's not mentioned in the article, but I also saw that on a Packers website, is that Nathaniel Hackett, the Packers offensive coordinator, is in fact up for the running, and they did request an interview with him. The Jim Caldwell thing, I think, makes the most sense because you saw him turn around. I wouldn't say turn around, but he did really good in Detroit, and I think that he kind of got a raw deal over in Detroit. And
he did. I feel like he got let go a little too quick. Like they're just panic mode over there.
They were in panic mode. They lost a bunch of players.
Did they hire Patricia after that?
Yeah, they replaced him with a scrub. And then the one notable omission, because when I kind of talked to you in pre about this, I said, who do you think the candidates are? You knew the Cowboys situation. You knew about the Caldwell and Peterson, but there is no Eric Bieniemy in the list. He has not made the list just yet. And I guess that's been a thing for the last 2 years where he's been overlooked for this reason or that. I guess last year you could have made the case that he's never called the plays, so you really don't know what kind of job he's doing as a play caller. But this year he has called the plays.
What's his role over there?
I mean,
I know there's so many things.
There's so many different things that go into place, and really it's just implementing the plays and putting the plays in and working with the unit. And there's a lot. I mean, coaching an offense in the NFL, I'm sure whether you call the plays or not, you have to be very, very in tune with what the play call is going to be.
Ben Wexler coming in the comments saying, what if Pete Carroll gets fired by the Seahawks? Would that be a landing spot for him?
I don't know that Pete Carroll is
meshes well.
I don't know that Pete Carroll is really in a situation where he's even remotely close to getting fired with the success that he's had over there. Their roster is struggling. They're getting poor play out of their quarterback. They got beat up by injuries.
If you call a spade, bro, that's exactly what they did to Mike McCarthy over in Green Bay. He had all the success in the world, and then they just fired him off a bad year.
Mike McCarthy had a ton of failures, and yeah, let's not talk about the Mike McCarthy situation because that was 10 years in the making. That was 10 years in the making. But also Pete Carroll, I believe, is the oldest or the second oldest coach in the league. So I think that Seattle might be his last stop. He's more suited to go onto TV, I believe.
I hate Pete Carroll.
I hate Pete Carroll.
Yeah, I hate watching him.
There was definitely a point where I've been like, I really hate Pete Carroll, but I'll take him. And I'm past that point. Pete Carroll is old. I don't want anything to do with that guy. I hate his guts.
Mother ever. I don't want nothing to do with him anymore.
I think the best opportunity or the best candidate for the job should be Caldwell or Leftwich. I think it's down to those two guys for me, but you never know. And honestly, you made the joke yesterday or made the comment yesterday about the Raiders. Maybe they should open up their coaching search because they don't want to miss out on their guy. Now, two notable things here. One, the list of candidates is actually longer than I thought it would be for Jacksonville. And it also points out to the fact that there really is some solid candidates out there that don't have a job. So I don't really think it's that much of a big deal for the Raiders to wait, or any other team like the Bears for that matter to wait. And I think there's actually an added bonus to this. If you do wait for the Jaguars to hire their coach, typically the Jaguars suck at hiring coaches. So what's going to happen here is you're going to end up having the Jaguars hire the guy that you may have hired but definitely shouldn't have, because the Jaguars hiring him proves that he's a shitty hire. So you wait and see what the Jaguars do, and then you pick up the pieces after that.
Okay, that's a good point. I mean,
that's backwards logic. It's more or less a joke.
I was gonna say it's a little ass backwards, but yeah, do it. If that's the way you want to do it, do it. I like it. The Jaguars obviously are going to be active, now until they hire their coach. So we'll see who they get. We'll see who Scoop doesn't like next, because I know Scoop was totally the Urban Meyer right off the rip. So
we'll keep it in the AFC South, and we're going to move on to what I thought was big news, but then it got kind of shitted on.
Yeah, man. Carson Wentz being put on the COVID list. Now, I always make fun of what he looks like on the sidelines as far as like he's the only one wearing a mask, but that's the rule with unvaccinated players. So he was listed. Now, remember, this graphic was made yesterday, right? So we're prepping for the show. As soon as this happens, we're prepping for the next show, because that's, what we do, and we want to keep it rolling. But the Colts listed him. My brother right away panicked. He's like, oh my God, what if Jonathan Taylor's right next to him, close contact, blah, 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 right? That's a possibility, right? It's an absolute possibility, but we can switch it right away, dude. Switch the graphic right away, because, again, the NFL has done it again. They've altered their COVID protocols again, okay? They're going back to, or not back to, they're basically going along with what the CDC just said. So the CDC went from 10 days to 5 days, regardless of vaccination status, which is nuts now. Now it's no longer go get vaccinated because you'll get back sooner. Now it doesn't matter if you're vaccinated or not. 5 days from the time you test positive. And here's the kicker. You don't even need a negative test after the 5 days. You do not. If the medical professional of the team, and it's not even like, here's the thing. They put team medical professionals. What team is going to say like, yeah, no, man, we can't. Carson's got the sniffles. He can't do it. You know what I mean?
Well, there is that new rule where I don't think that the teams are allowed to actually hire their medical professionals. It's done by the league or an outside source. Man. It's some weird things happening ever since they enhanced the rules or changed the rules up for the concussion protocols and put the blue tents on the sidelines. I feel like the doctors are all independent.
Well,
or at least the sideline ones are. Maybe I'm misspeaking on that, but
in any event, it's just
nonetheless
mind numbing that they could just make this change. And my brother was the first one to tell me that he could play. And then I read the memo from start to finish, dude. This thing basically said, I'll paraphrase: if you have a pulse, you can play again. Like that's how friggin' loose they are with all this stuff.
Well,
it's
two things. One, definitely just realized that I have my hoodie on inside out.
Oh,
zip hoodie. That's weird.
Buffalo
and then
Wednesday.
2, I don't think that the NFL is changing anything. And hear me out.
I'm hearing
I think what's happening is the CDC is making the changes, and we're only finding out through the NFL because nobody actually has a pulse on what's going on with COVID in their own life. You don't know if you get COVID, can you stay in for 5 days, 7 days, 10 days? Do you have to quarantine for your entire life? Are you only allowed to come out for Christmas? Only if your team is playing? There's a bunch of different rules that a bunch of different people adhere to depending on how it fits their day of life or their way of life, so to speak. But what happens with the NFL is the NFL is completely in tune with what's happening with the CDC. And every time there's a new, I would say, regulation that's lifted, an adjustment where it's like the CDC and the news media outlets, the news outlets are pumping anything that has to do with what you can't do anymore. So if it's like you have to quarantine for 10 days and now it's 14 days, they'll push that because they want to. I don't want to sit here and say they want to push fear or anything like that, a divisiveness. You could make your own conclusion on that. But what they don't do is they're not going to say, oh, guess what? Everybody, COVID's not so bad. Go take this vaccine. But you could go back to work after 5 days of having COVID, even if you're positive, which is now the case in the entire country, not just the NFL. But people are talking like the NFL is changing the protocols when really it's the entire country. And the NFL is just the one to deliver the news.
They're following suit. And
people like us, we're like, how is this possible? I can't even go to work. And it's like, no, you actually can now. That's the thing. The CDC changed the rules. The NFL is just following that. They're not allowed to just go against what the rest of the country is doing because they're the NFL.
The NFL is a juggernaut. The NFL owns days of the week now, not just Sundays anymore. The NFL has basically said, due to the fact that they've changed this, don't worry, everybody. You will not lose your star players in the playoffs. That's really what this is saying. There won't be a situation where Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or anybody in the playoffs gets tests positive, and all of a sudden you're Jordan Love or whoever backs up Brady or Cooper Rush and that. That's done. Like that fear can now be taken away from your conscience and know that your team is going to be good to go because every test is going to be administered on a Monday after a game. And if they test positive, guess what? All they do is miss practice and then they're back by Saturday. That's the new rule. Like there will be no more testing during the middle of the week. And like that's done because if everybody's tested on Monday, what's the point of testing anybody any other day? So You're good.
mean, the point of that is, and I'm not here to get into this conversation, but the testing, the reason why is because nobody knows what these people are doing when they leave the facility. So if you go to the bar on a Tuesday night to watch your college, your alma mater playing a bowl game, and you're out with your boys and you're drinking a couple beers, and that happens almost daily for everywhere. And it's not even just New Jersey. Let's think about how there's less regulations in other states. If you play in Texas or something like that, like there's nobody adhering to any of these masking guidelines and things like that. So obviously COVID, people are getting it again, right?
Yeah.
That's why they would be testing, but people aren't really getting as sick as they were. Look, let's move on from the COVID. We're going to go to break.
Okay, well, how about we do this? How about we take a break and relax and towel off and we'll be good to go because it is Wednesday. That does mean we're going to go over the NFL.com power rankings, and I think that me and Gooch are very, very in disagreement with NFL.com at the very least. And we'll get into that right after the break. Gooch, do your thing, bro.
You know, myself and Gooch are both getting a little older. One of the first things to go is your vision. Thank goodness for our hookup over at Absolute Eyewear in Woodbridge, New Jersey, right on Main Street next to the train station. They have glasses for all ages, all budgets. They have safety glasses, sports glasses. They are a full-service powerhouse offering eye exams and even free lenses for the kids. They work with BCBS, AAA, AARP, giving massive discounts. They're open 5 days a week, closed on Wednesdays and Sundays. Call 732-326-3937 to get your first pair of Ray-Ban, Burberry, Coach, Polo, you name it, they got it. Go see Craig and Johnine right now.
All right, welcome back to the show. Gooch, man, you did it, bro. You did it. You're so good at what you do. Producer Gucci in the house, and of course, Sturch and Gooch coming to you live from our undisclosed locations.
You definitely expected to see the NFL protocol banner still up.
100,000%, yes.
And I'm not going to lie, when I clicked on the other one, I was like, I hope this doesn't end the commercial early. I didn't know if it was going to do anything.
Text you, hey man, make sure you switch it over. But you know what? I left the faith and I said, you know what? Everything's going to be fine. But anyway, so we covered a lot already. We covered the CDC stuff. We talked about John Madden. We talked about just pretty much everything there is to go on. I know that Kyle opened the show with your love for Steph Curry. We're not getting into the NBA games, but I did hit that bet. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, they were up 21. Denver was up 21 at halftime, and they were talking. I don't know why, but Kyle always just decides to talk shit to me about Steph Curry. So he's like, "Oh, your boy Steph Curry getting jizzed on," or whatever he said in the group chat. And then I just said, "Warriors money line," just my subtle dig. And he said, "If you want to donate money, go to the local humane society and just give your money to them. Don't donate it to the books."
I gotta catch up to that.
They only lost by 2. They had a chance to win the game late. With like no time, they were down 2 with 3 seconds to go, I think.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. But anyway, the NFL power rankings are back. They usually drop on Tuesdays. We're here to dissect them today. I now have the list in front of me. And again, not a fan of any of this stuff, to be honest with you, because there are teams in a complete free fall that make no sense to me. I'm going to pull them up again as we start with the number 10 team, the Arizona Cardinals. Now, let's drop the whatchamacallit, the scroll there. So the Arizona Cardinals, right? They're on a free fall. They're biggest frauds known to man, right? That's what I think. And they got the Dallas Cowboys coming up. Now, the power rankings, Kyle coming in now. NFL power rankings 2 weeks ago. Kyle, Cardinals don't belong in the top 3. They should be 9 or 10. Dave and Chris, bro, you're crazy. Get there. Wait, whoa. I was on team fraud, okay?
I was just saying, like, at the time, if I did say that. Now, Kyle, don't just misquote me here, because if you have the quote, then pull it up. But I don't think that I was disagreeing with the fact that the Cardinals were going to suck. I just thought at that time they did deserve their spot because of the season that they've had up to that point. You were all, this was 3 weeks ago. They had one straight loss. They were 10-3 at the time, maybe even 10-2, because when I updated this graphic, it said 10-2 for the Cardinals. So I don't know, man. Like, yeah, they definitely don't belong. They belong where they're at right now. This is the one that I'm okay with.
You know what, though? I don't even know if they belong in here.
All right,
because
now,
right behind them, right, are the Titans, the Dolphins. Like, why can't we put the Dolphins ahead after 7 straight wins?
Stop. Because they also had 6 straight losses. This is, look, I have a hard time.
Week thing.
This is a week-to-week thing, but it also factors in what you've done this year. The position that they're in. They have 10 wins. 10 wins. They had a 7-game win streak as well. So yes, they're struggling right now. But if they play the Dolphins right now, do you really think the Dolphins are going to beat the Cardinals? I think you can make a case for the Titans, but I don't think the Titans are a better team than them either. They also have major issues.
Well, we'll see, because they got the Cowboys coming up this weekend. We'll see if the Cardinals can bounce back. Of course, we get the angry Cardinals. The angry birds have you. That's what we get. So that'll be fun.
Is there any other team that you could see before we move on from 10? Mm-hmm. Because I feel like the conversation to be had right now is at 10. Is there any other teams? The Titans, obviously, you mentioned the Dolphins. There's no other team that you think maybe sneaks in or could
49ers?
Sneak in? The 49ers, no. The Cardinals beat the 49ers with Colt McCoy by 30. So no.
Honestly, looking at the 13 and the 12 and the Dolphins,
the Raiders,
Titans, I guess the Arizona Cardinals, if you're going to put a 10-win team in, this is where they belong.
The Cardinals belong right where they're at.
Yeah, I'm with that. All right, number 9. Cincinnati Bengals. They've been lighting up the scoreboard. You might want to move over a little bit. You're covered by the old Bengal there. But anyway, Chris is officially a Bengal. So Joe Burrow throws for 8,000 yards last week, right? He takes care of business. He does his thing. The Bengals now find themselves at 9 and also with a chance to win the AFC North, which is nuts if you think about it. Because again, a lot of these teams, they showed promise. There was a couple times you saw the Bengals and you're like, all right, you know what? Now they're showing their youth. Now it's going to be, tough sledding going forward. But for Burrow to do what he did last week, I like them being here. And then looking ahead, I guess this is where they belong. There's actually one team I think should be behind them. But again, I'm with it at 9 for now until we get to the team that I think they should be swapped with.
Yeah, I'm okay with them being at 9. Maybe the Patriots should be at 9, but we'll probably talk about them in a second. I like a lot of things about the Bengals. I also like the fact that there's really no AFC team outside of now the Chiefs that really have taken charge out there. It's up for grabs after the Chiefs, I think. So the second best team in the AFC, it could be Buffalo, it could be Cincinnati, it could still be Baltimore for all we know. I just think that the AFC is going to be a fun competitive thing down the stretch. And the Cincinnati Bengals are in a prime position to win their division, I should say, not at all.
Well, listen, we've seen crazier things.
No,
you know
it's
what
not
I mean?
happening. Just stop.
Okay. Moving on to number 8, which I think could have been flip-flopped here. The New England Patriots coming off a loss now, with Mac Jones struggling a little bit. They made him throw the ball. They don't have the targets on the outside to be.
I believe it's two straight losses for the Patriots.
Right, but I'm saying like overall, like their passing game is not like Mac Jones has been game managing this entire year. There's never a game where we're like, wow, Mac Jones won that game. You know what I'm saying? So now they're at 9-6. I think you flip-flop these guys with the Bengals to move up to 8. I would even put the Bengals as high as 7 because I saw the 7th team and I don't believe in the 7th team, even after a big win. I don't. When you don't have the effective, running game, we'll get into it. When you don't have that effective running game, it alters the promise that you have going forward. But I will say that the Patriots and the Bengals, I would swap them out. Patriots, I'm still buying into the fact that they're probably going to be a wild card team, but it's going to be a little bit more tough sledding if you make this kid throw.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that. Look, we talked about it, or I talked about it. Jamar Chase might have passed Mac Jones in the Rookie of the Year debate, and I feel like these two teams are clearly going to meet in the playoffs, and we're going to get to find out which one is better. I think as far as Buffalo goes, which we're going to get to them too, little spoiler alert, they're 7, right? So I think that these 3 teams, you could really put any of them in any place. You put Buffalo over the Patriots because they just beat them in New England, and the first game was kind of a shit game where you couldn't really get to see whether the Patriots were able to do anything besides run the football in bad weather. I do think that the Bengals are the most complete team out of those 3 teams. So you can make the case that they belong at 7. I also think that they're in the lead in what I think is a harder division, but we made another point yesterday that there's potential 3 AFC East teams that make the playoffs. I don't know that that really is anything to write home about because the AFC it's just jumbled together. I think that there's 12 playoff teams and then 3 shit teams.
I think there's like 2 teams or 3 teams that are eliminated. Everybody else is in it.
The Jets, the Texans, and
the Jaguars.
And the Jaguars.
Yeah, I think everybody else is in contention. Maybe, I don't know. But moving on to number 7, we just mentioned the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Bills, without having a running game and leaving it up to Josh Allen to do his thing, yes, he balled out, right? He absolutely balled out last week, and he kind of carried the Bills to that win. But they're still tied with the Patriots. They got themselves a big week coming up. Last 2 weeks are going to determine a lot as to how far these teams can go. I would put the Bengals at 7. And then maybe the Bills at 8 and the Patriots at 9. That's where I'm at.
I'm okay with the Bills being here because they've been in the top 5 for the entire season when they've had rough patches. I guess the Bills were as low as 8 at one point when I'm looking at the graphics that I've been making. But Buffalo, for whatever reason, the public is on their side. The NFL has been backing Buffalo since last year. Josh Allen has to do a lot for that team. I do think that they're undermanned on the offensive side because of their lack of a run game. Their pass rush has been better. They're dealing with injuries in the secondary, but right now their final 2 games are gimmies. So they're going to clearly win this division. I know anything could happen, but Buffalo is in a really good spot right now in the final 2 games of the season to wrap things up. I don't know exactly who they play, but I remember looking yesterday and I was like, oh, Buffalo wins.
Well, how far do you think, Danny coming in the comments, how far do you think that the Bengals bump up Chiefs this weekend? Obviously the Chiefs are a lot higher. But that's going to be a great game.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one. I think that they bump up past the 2 teams that we're talking about for sure. And it is going to be hard to make the case that you put the Chiefs higher than them. The Chiefs obviously right now are the team to beat in the AFC. But if they do beat the Chiefs and the Bengals might have the same record. I'm not sure. I think that there still might be 1 game separating them. I don't see Cincinnati jumping even the Chiefs with a win against the Chiefs, but they will be the number 2 team in the AFC for sure. It depends how they beat them too. If they beat
number 6 are,
I was in the comments. There we go.
Yes, the Dallas Cowboys at 11-4. This is where I finally, I've been saying for the last 2 weeks, just so we're aware, and you can go back and listen if you want. I've been agreeing with their spot, right? I've been agreeing with where they're at in the power rankings. This week, I do not. I think they need to be a little higher. I think after the thrashing they just handed the Washington football team, you move these guys higher. Then let's see. I'm looking ahead. I would probably put them maybe 4, and I would bump the 2 teams that are ahead of them down. The Dallas Cowboys are now finally clicking on offense. Whether it took the Washington football team game to do this for them, great. Now it's the bigger test against the Arizona Cardinals coming up. But this defense can win games by themselves. Like, that's how good this defense is. And I think, again, given the fact that they went through a quote slump, right? A slump, and still went 4-0 in December. You know, that's to me, that's them finding ways to win, defying a lot of the odds, and doing their thing. And I think that they are justifiably in this thing, and I think that the Cowboys should definitely be a couple spots higher.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on the fact that they should be higher. I actually have them even one more spot higher. I have Cowboys ranked 3rd right now.
Wow.
They're having a good month. They're coming off 56 points in a division game that I guess when they woke up that morning, they needed that game to clinch things. Things ended up working out for them earlier in the day, but they went into that game, you know, with a point to prove and let everybody know that they're the real deal. I still am not buying into them being the best team. And we had a conversation. I'm going to bring it up again with Jay Devlin. And he's talking about how everybody's doubting the Cowboys. No, nobody's doubting the Cowboys as being a really good team. I have them as high as 3rd. I just doubt that the Cowboys are the best team. And we're going to find out. But the way their defense is playing, you could say it's against bad competition. I don't care about any of that stuff. I hate dealing with that. There is something to be said for it. But at the end of the day, they're 11-4. There's been some tough games that they've won. They went on the road and beat New England. That's the only one that I'll really point out at the time as like a really impressive win to me, but they did it. You know, you can't take that away from them. And when it comes down to a game on Sunday or a Saturday in the playoffs, all the shit that they haven't beaten anybody, that's not going to matter. It's going to come down to execution, and we're going to find out. But right now, 56 points, the turnovers that they produce, that they create, you got to put Dallas a little bit higher than 6. I put them all the way up to 3.
Yeah, I was just trying to not be a homer. That's why I said,
well, no, I mean,
I'll go to 4.
When your team is good, it's good. Just a public service announcement here. Look, I'm a Packer fan and Dave is a Cowboys fan. Both of our teams are good. We talk about them a lot because they're both good. If the Packers were shit, I promise you I would not want to talk about it. So moving on.
Moving on.
All right. Colts.
So a team that the Cowboys should be ahead of. The Colts are 9-6, and I'm not talking about records, right? The Colts pulled out something last week that nobody really thought they could do because of the fact that they were down their entire offensive line. It wasn't a good recipe to go in. So they still willed it through. But I don't feel like the Colts, pound for pound, you know, on both sides of the ball, are a better team than Dallas. Yes, they run the ball probably better than any team in the NFL right now. Their running game is mint. Jonathan Taylor is going to probably have my brother coast to a fantasy championship along with Scoop, right? Jonathan Taylor is that guy, right? But I want to say that, you know, their defense is susceptible. I know they played Kyler Murray without his guns, and that's fine. The defense is good. It's just not great, and that's why I would just kind of flip-flop a couple teams here.
I mean, I think that the defense is really good. They play sound football. They're great at I think that they're even higher than the Cowboys in terms of takeaways this year.
No,
which isn't,
I doubt that.
You doubt it, but do you doubt it? Do you know it?
No, but I doubt it.
I'm pretty sure they are. So Carson Wentz hasn't been turning the ball over, and hopefully for his sake and the Colts fans' sake, he gets to play this week. I think that they're possibly higher than 5, but also still worse than Dallas, if that makes sense. I think that there's a potential 2 teams that could bump below 5. And obviously, I'm sure everybody knows who the teams remaining are, but I think Dallas is 3, and I think you can make the case that the Colts are the 4th best team right now. The problem is they lost to the other 2 teams that I want to put them ahead of, but that was earlier in the year. So
as far as averages are concerned, Dallas is averaging more takeaways. That's where I got right now as far as over Indianapolis. But oh yeah, so let's see, 2021 right here in front of me, Dallas Cowboys. They have.
What are you looking at? What stat? Because
takeaways.
You could takeaways, total takeaways.
Yes.
It might not be total takeaways. It might be the ratio then.
I'm
just saying, I watched the Colts
takeaways in the NFL.
Okay. Now, do you understand that total takeaways is one stat and then turnover ratio is another? So it might just be that they had less. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying I watched the game the other day and they had the Colts ranked 1st in something with turnovers.
Well, the Colts are now tied with Dallas for the differential at plus 14.
There we go.
The Packers are plus 6.
So we're both right. And what are the Packers?
How about that? But yeah, the Colts.
What were the Packers?
What
were the Packers?
16.
Oh.
It's because your quarterback doesn't throw interceptions. That's why. Come on.
I was just checking.
And besides, they've been throwing it like pitch and catch to Rasul Douglas.
We'll talk about the Packers in a couple minutes because we all know where they're at. So we don't have to talk about them yet. We got time on them. Yeah. So we're moving on to number 4.
This is where I would bump them down, man, because look, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as much as they always win their games, they also have a beatable division. When they get to play the Panthers, they get to play the Falcons. You know what I'm saying? Like they get to play the Saints without quarterbacks, even though they lost. one of them. But
I'm not going to sit here and talk shit about divisions.
I'm not
Your
either.
division sucks. My division sucks. The Bucks division kind of sucks too. They all suck, but the Bucks are a good team.
Okay, first of all, I don't know who's letting these people in here, but Win All Day said Rasul Douglas is better than Trayvon Diggs, and it's not close. Get out of here, bro. I know you're one of Kyle's guys, but Jesus Christ.
My guy, Win All Day. I got, there's a case to be made.
No, there's not a case to be made. Diggs has 11 interceptions. There's no case to be made.
And Douglas has 6 in 6 games or 7 games. So it's like the numbers are there. Look, I'm not actually sitting here and arguing that
6
point.
in 6 games, we have 11.
But there's some other numbers on Diggs that aren't so great. So
oh my God. Anyways, back to the Bucks. The Buccaneers lost a lot of players. It's going to be tough sledding for them going forward. Fournette out, Mike Evans out, Chris Godwin out, Gronk is a fossil, so it's just, we'll see. And shout out to Ben Wexler saying, would love to see Trayvon Diggs against Stephon Diggs. You might in February, but anyway, Carl Gucci, I guess this is the old man. The money will most likely go on the Cowboys big. I'm afraid to touch the game. I guess he's referring to the Cardinals game coming up. But back to the Bucks. That's my thoughts on the Bucks. They're banged up right now. They're still getting the job done, but I would put the Cowboys over the Bucks right now.
Yeah, I would put the Cowboys over the Bucks, and I would also put the Colts over the Bucks. Even though the Bucks did beat the Colts, the Bucks right now are just reeling, bro. Their defense is banged up. Their offense is banged up. They do have Tom Brady, but Tom Brady's 98 years old. So eventually you got to think that he's not going to be able to carry that team all alone. And I know Fournette did his job, but Fournette's gone. Ronald Jones is capable, but Ronald Jones doesn't have Fournette to lean back on now. Godwin's done. Mike Evans is banged up as usual. Antonio Brown's nuts. So we'll see.
That's a factor in the injury report. Like, this guy's out with a hamstring. Antonio Brown questionable with a brain.
Yeah, Antonio Brown's questionable because he's fucking nuts. But
moving on to the third team, which I think is ranked way too high right now, and that is the Los Angeles Rams, coming in at 11-4. Yes, they've beaten good teams. Yes, they've kind of gotten back to, winning football, and now they're ahead of the NFC West. They're ahead of the Cardinals. But I just don't buy this. I don't buy the fact that they got the Rams. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just my bias with
they're the beneficiary of the Cardinals completely shitting the bed because they took over the division when kind of people had them written off, and everybody has been on their nuts all season. They made the Von Miller move, they made the Odell move, so they got all the bells and whistles. They got the coach that everybody loves to love. I guess nobody hates Sean McVay.
Yeah, Kyle Kerm's coming in saying, "Who did McVay sleep with to snag the 3 ranking?"
Yeah, that's
legitimate.
Yeah, so I would put the Rams at 6. Now, I think that they're a very dangerous team. I do not want to draw them right away in the playoffs, but ideally I would like to meet them in the NFC Championship in Green Bay. But yeah, the Rams definitely don't belong here. We're in agreement on that. Put them at 6. The Cowboys, I think, are a more complete team. Maybe not more complete, but they've proven it more so this season than the Rams have. I just saw the Rams play some bad football at points. I haven't really seen the Cowboys play bad football.
Yeah, I'm willing to flip-flop the Cowboys and the Rams right now, 3-6. I would flip-flop them. Why not?
Yeah, I have them flip-flopped. I actually do. And then I have the Colts and the Bucks flip-flopped.
Okay. I'm all right with that. Moving on, number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, obviously, they're beating everybody's up. They're just every game they play, their offense is back. Their defense is playing great. This is where they belong. I believe, a good Patrick Mahomes is better than a great everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, this kid's going to start lighting it up again. They might have lost Allaire for a while, if not the season, with that collarbone.
I don't think that makes them a worse team. I think Darrell Williams is better.
Oh, wow, that's bold. But yeah, I mean, I would say this is exactly where they belong. I have it hard pressed to not think they're going to be in the AFC title game, whether it be against the Colts or I don't know. Maybe that's the game. Maybe that's the game. If Wentz gets back and he's healthy and Jonathan Taylor keeps running the way he does, I don't foresee anybody knocking off the Chiefs at this point.
I think you can make a case that if there's one team in the league that could unseat Green Bay for the one spot, it is Kansas City. They were 3-4. They're 11-4. Flashback Friday, Throwback Thursday, TBT, whatever you want to call it, to when everybody wrote Patrick Mahomes off in around week 8 and saying, "No, this guy's done." Yeah, he's not done by any stretch. And neither are the Chiefs. 11-4. They won 8 in a row. they'll be against Green Bay in the Super Bowl. That's my prediction. Kansas City's the real deal. They find ways to win games. I don't think that their offense has even clicked yet, so it's going to be scary if they do figure things out. But their defense and their secondary, and they're getting after the quarterback. They're well coached on both sides of the ball. Yeah, the Chiefs are the real deal.
Speaking of the real deal, we move on to the number 1 or overall ranked team, which hasn't moved in, I think, like a month. The Green Bay Packers coming in at 12-3. They are a couple wins away from securing the number 1 spot. But I mean, you can't argue this. I mean, the only thing you can argue is the fact that if this is a week by week thing, right? Then maybe you can argue this because they barely got out of that game against Cleveland.
Yeah, you know? I mean, but you could look across the league, and there's games for every single team that there's been some close wins. I think that we had a better game against Cleveland than we did against Baltimore. We had 2 close ones, but good teams and great teams find ways to win close games. And you could blame John Harbaugh, but at the end of the day, we made that stop. The Packers didn't give up the 2-point conversion. Against the Browns, same thing. Boohoo Baker.
There's an interference call that wasn't called, but
all right. But let's get off that, please. I can't
get off that. There's the game on the line.
Yeah, but there was 10 plays that took place. Did you watch the entire game? Were you watching with the same optics, like saying, "Oh, the Packers got robbed on that one"? Devontae got called on a push-off that was garbage. There's plenty of plays. Look, am I happy? Yeah, I'll take it. But that was a no call that I've seen way worse, right? And at the same time, there was a kicker that was in his first NFL game. They were still on the 42. There was only 20 seconds to go. It's not like they guarantee. Baker probably throws a pick on the next play. It's not like they guarantee. Yeah, but you can't say that the kicker would have made a 60-yarder either.
I'm not saying that either, but you can't say like, oh, Baker probably would have threw a pick.
And you know what else you can't do? You can't say because Baker sucked and the Browns and the refs that the Packers aren't the best team in football, because they got 12 wins. And Kyle tells me yesterday that they're reeling. One team is reeling. How are you reeling? Then you're 4-0. In their last 4. They lost a tight game against Minnesota. Besides that, they lost to the Chiefs with no Rodgers. And then week 1, we talk about week 1, Aaron Rodgers threw 2 picks. How many does he have this season?
4,
right? So you could talk about the defense struggling. They are. They're doing shitty against the run. I'm here to admit that.
Still an issue?
The special teams played better yesterday.
They played better.
Or Sunday. I got to admit that. And I think what they're doing is what I said they should do. And they're starting to put some starters on special teams, because these guys at the back end, they just ain't getting it done. And you got to win football games. This isn't week 3 anymore, right? So you can't be like, oh, we don't want him to get hurt. If he gets hurt, having to do something that's for the team, that's football. I'm all for it. So Rasul, he's also a great special teamer. He's covering kicks. He's covering punts. I don't see Trayvon Diggs covering punts, baby. Might return some, but definitely not covering them.
We don't need to do that.
You don't need to. I forgot. That's because you're the 6th best team in the league, so you must have great special teams.
We actually have a really great special teams. How many block punts do you have this year?
I don't know. This isn't college football. I don't care. We have more wins
college football. That's your go-to. This isn't college football, bro. They have like 5 block punts, 2 for touchdowns. Like, this is the special teams. Dallas blows the Packers out of the close. Not even close. And I don't even like Bones Fossil. I don't even like that.
I don't really care what you're talking about special teams. We have a bad special teams. If you want to say you have a better special teams than us, that's fine, Dave. You can have that. We have the better football team. You could have the better special teams. I'm admitting that. We might have the worst special teams in football. And if there is an Achilles heel, it's that. But I mean, nobody in their right mind thinks Dallas is a better team than Green Bay.
Hey, shout out to Ben saying, oh, against the Giants in Washington. Yeah, okay, cool. The Green Bay Packers get to play the Bears and the Lions and the Vikings. 3 of those
I would like to know, and I don't mean to cut you off, but Aaron Rodgers threw 0 picks in week 5. This is what Kyle's saying, and that's my reasoning for the Packers at 1. No, he's thrown 2 picks since week 1. That's part of my reasoning. And 2 is I want to know, if the Packers aren't 1, who's 1? The Chiefs, they're 2. I just said the same thing, that you can make the case that the Chiefs are better. Show me where I'm wrong here. That's all. Because I'm a Packer fan, I'm obviously going to cape up for my team, but show me where I'm wrong, Kyle. Who is the best team in football if it's not Green Bay or the Chiefs? Is it Dallas? Do you really think that? I don't think he even thinks that. And I'm not talking.
He likes to stir the pot.
Yeah, of course. So I'm just trying to get him to like, I have facts. Aaron Rodgers did only throw 2 picks. And honestly, you're right. He did throw 0 in week 5 and 7 and 8 and 9.
Ben, once again, like you don't have facts to back yourself up. He's coming and saying that the is better division. No, they're not. Every single team in our division is literally a playoff contention, except for the Giants, right?
Anyway, let's move off of the Ben is going to come at the Giants.
First of all, down Kyle's comment. I'm done seeing that one.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of people saying that the Dallas Cowboys are good because they play the NFC East. Bro, the Packers have ran through the NFC North for the last 20 freaking years, okay? So don't give me that shit. I'm tired of that. Just because your team stinks and they haven't won any games since the boat trip.
It has zero to do with Ben's opinion. It has, like, we've already established this. Divisions both suck, Dave. Honestly, the divisions both suck. So I don't really, what he's saying is irrelevant. The Packers do look better than the Chiefs. Yes. Our record is better. I'll take that. And I just said 2 minutes ago, so you can't use the Chiefs. So what do you have the Packers at 2? Okay. We could agree to that then. Fine. The Packers are the second best team in the league, but they're still not third.
Well, my brother said it before. This argument between me and you, Gooch, will probably more than likely be settled in the playoffs. And when that happens, I pray for everybody involved. Kyle's coming in, Chiefs, Cowboys, Bucks. So he's not even putting the Packers in the top 3. Oh boy. Anyway, so this has obviously been another episode. What's wrong? You ready to explode?
The Bucks, bro. If the Packers got shut out 9-0 at home, right? Kyle would never let me hear the fucking end of it, but the Bucks are better. The fuck out of here. The Cowboys, stop. They scored 20 points against the Giants. And
I mean,
Mike
Lennon coming in saying the Packers are playing better football than the Cowboys. I mean, they both went 4-0, and the games that the Cowboys won were handedly. Like there was no.
I mean, the Packers have had a little tougher stretch, I believe, over the last 4 games. But either way, we're both 4-0. I don't give a fuck,
bro.
Yeah,
looking at differentials.
Yeah.
But in any event, we can go back and forth and back again, over and over and over again as you make your faces. That's fine, dude. I listen again. We live in a world. Can you please get rid of this Packers 1 graphic, by the way?
Oh no, absolutely not, Dave. You fucked up, bro.
This is what happens.
Sign back into the admin account, and then you could remove whatever graphic you want. But I'm gonna leave this up for the remainder of today's show. Real teams cover. We're fucking the same. I think we're 11-4 against the spread.
Dallas is 12-3 against the spread. By the way, we cover more spread.
You want to know why though? You play against a shit division.
I was waiting for that. So anyway,
boom.
Those are the power. What? Yeah, those are the power rank. That was
my Madden.
The Madden thing. Good. Those are the power rankings for today. Obviously, we do that every Wednesday. There's only a couple more weeks to do this because it is almost playoff time. There is no Thursday night football game this week, which is awful. But tomorrow we will have, what is his name? I'm sorry, I'm remiss. Gooch, the guy.
Matt Birdsall.
Matt Birdsall.
College Football Talk Daily is his Twitter account. I should have made a graphic for it and pulled it up, but yeah.
That's all good. We got him coming in tomorrow to talk all things college football playoffs because, guys, I don't know if you know this, but there's 2 games on Friday, and that's what's coming up. So we'll preview those. And, of course, we got Lean Fridays coming up, in which, if you're just joining us for the first time, what the hell's Lean Friday? KyleKerms.com is the website to go check out all the actual picks that Kyle makes. Fridays, he comes in on studio, gives us his leans, where he might be leaning to. Because, again, these real professional guys that like Kyle, they don't make these picks until Sunday morning. You can't make picks until literally right before kickoff. But the college football playoffs coming up. We'll preview that tomorrow. We got Lean Fridays on Friday. Again, guys, I will hammer this home as I keep looking down and I see this Packer graphic and it's like pissing me off. Put the page up at least. Support Chop Sports on Patreon. Do us a favor. Head out and over to the website. It's actually in the description right now. If you guys want to support Chop Sports, this is the way to do it. We really appreciate everything. From obviously from people buying the merch to coming to the events to just everything you guys have done for Chop Sports. We really, really do appreciate it. It keeps us going. And it's funny because I know that your eyes are glued to the chat right now, Gooch, as I make my close. It's fine. I haven't looked over there. I hate Dina Simpson. I hate when mommy and daddy fight. That's hilarious. But anyway, with that being said, please go support us. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're watching this right now, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate that. Hit the like button. We appreciate that as well. So for Sturch and Gooch, tomorrow we're back in studio. At least right now, it's a guarantee 50% of us are back in studio. But again, I'm feeling pretty god darn good right now. So with that, for Sturch and Gooch, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Hey, Kyle, let's handicap this hypothetical playoff game between the Packers and the Cowboys. It's going to be in Lambeau, so we're giving at least 3.5.
4. I say 4.
I say it's probably open at 3.5. All the money will go on Dallas early, and then somehow the spread won't move, and then all the late smart money goes in on Green Bay, and you're like, oh, all the early money went on Dallas. How come the spread went up? It's good. All the shark money is going to go on the Packers, and even Kyle's going to put them on his YouTube video. Watch. You're gonna fade Dallas in the playoffs, bro.
How about them Cowboys? Thanks, Dan.
Fade Dallas. Oh, I gotta hit the end of the broadcast.
End the fucking thing.
You know who I feel like right now?